Good morning. Well, good afternoon, good evening. Hi, everyone. It's Sunday again. All right. Oh, we've got some folks in here already. Simon, first one in today. Nancy, hello. Sandra, Jilly, Elle. Oh, the blue mods are showing up. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Bastet, hello. Remember, I'm going with the shortened name this time. Selkie, hi. Let's see, who else do we have in here so far? Emma, hello, hello. White Tree Tarot, hi. Okay, I'm not actually reading any of the comments, so hopefully I don't have to. Hi, Diane. Aquarius Owl. Artistry of Tarot, Mendy, not Mandy, Mendy. I remember that from Simon's chat yesterday. Anne. Oh, welcome back then, Anne. Let's see. Athena, hello. Maharet. Rosemary, Christina, Jen, thank you. Can you tell I went to the salon yesterday? Because I don't usually put this much effort on a daily basis. But, I got to ride with it for a couple of days. So, but it's still me. Still me. Anyway, hi, Sherry Bug. Oh my gosh, I haven't seen you in ages. So nice to see you. Okay, so want to hear a funny story? And so after this, I probably will do just what Simon just did and just be like, hello, everyone. Thank you for being here. Thank you, thank you. My card of the day today, you guys, no joke, Ace of Cups. This is from my Wizards Tarot. So this I found highly amusing, and I'm feeling all kinds of cupsy and lovey today. So my poor friends, they're just going to get like love vomited all over. Well, that sounded terrible, but you know what I mean, right? Anyway, it is going to be a good day. So if anybody, hi, Stephen. If anybody has an Ace of Cups story they want to share, I saw lots of posting happening in the Facebook group this week. That was really cool. And I saw some on Instagram, and we got, 8 or so more members this week, which is amazing. I just love seeing how these cards show up, how the homework is. I actually did this time the Tarot Playbook homework, which was super cool. It was kind of about getting in touch with your emotions. I thought, all right, Tarot Playbook redeemed itself a little bit for me this last week, so I did that. Oh, gross, Jen. No. Sorry. Anyway, I can't help it. I'm feeling all Ace of Cupsy today. Thank you, Bassett. Appreciate that. Every once in a while, we just got to do something a little different. All right. I'm going to take a sip of tea, and then I am going to, oh, hi, Jamie. Oh, congrats on getting the crystal unicorn, Emma. Oh, I'm glad you like it. Yeah, it seems like every time we have something a little intriguing. I also have, in addition to my tarot playbook with my reminder to do reversals before I talk about the activities, I have my ultimate guide to the Rider-Waite Tarot handy, thanks to Elle and Simon and all those folks. Let's see who else. Abundance Tarot. Hello, Kiana. Welcome in. All right, you guys. I will be very interested to see what card we get this week. But before we do, it's time to gather the questions. So I'm looking for about 5 questions that we can answer with our single card poll. Oh, hi, Heather. Oh, no, I haven't said anything important. I'm literally just starting. So I had to get my caffeine, and I understand if you do as well. You're calling the Hanged Man. That's my card of the year. Would that not be interesting? That would be really interesting. Okay, so we have 5 questions that we want to be able to ask with a single card pull. Oh, Selkie's going really practical on us today. Will the weather improve this week? Now, this is subjective, right? Because it depends on where you are. Is anybody in a place where the weather just could not possibly get better? That's not the case here. The weather could get much better here. And I'm on my way to Boston tomorrow. I have to be at the airport at like 5 a.m. And apparently it's very cold in Boston. I've never actually been. So that will be interesting. But for those of us who are in cruddy weather situations, will the weather improve this week? The hanged A-man sounds very French Revolution. All right, Jilly says, how can we keep our emotions balanced this week? You know, I am always searching for the answer to that question. You may get that from my channel name, but how can we keep our emotions balanced this week? Okay. Oh, it's freezing where you are, Becca? Oh, yikes. Oh, hi, Christina. Let's see. Okay, we've got some good ones. Okay. Let's see, it's 75 in California. How do you say that? Ticon Light Moon or Tycon Light Moon? That's a cool name, though. Hi. Oh, what do we need to know to focus on our goals this week? So is anybody else having the New Year's resolution or goals or intentions slump? I've been recording in my journal. I'm kind of falling down. I got to pick it back up. I don't want to be a statistic. What do we need to know to, I'm going to actually phrase this, stay focused on our goals this week, if you don't mind me taking a little bit of liberty there, Kiana. Okay. Oh, Jilly, Boston's your old stomping ground. Only I would actually have time to do anything fun or interesting, but I probably won't. It's kind of a whirlwind trip. Let's see. What can we do to pump up our intuition, Diane? Oh, that's a great one. I'm sorry if I'm missing any of you guys, but you guys are bringing some really fun questions. Where did it go? Oh, there we go. What can we do to pump up our intuition this week? Love that. And Heather, what's the best way to manage our energy levels this week? Does that feel different? Is that different enough for everyone from keeping our emotions balanced? I think emotions and energy are different things. So I think that's fine. But let me know if you feel like that's too close. What's the best way to manage? You guys are awesome. You know, I actually thought maybe I should come with a question in case there's just like a lull, but you guys never let me down. Like, you just let me play hostess and do the work for me. So thank you all for that. I don't know why I feel the need to talk in the middle of writing down each sentence or question, because it takes me a million years to write down the question. But I also want to chat with you. All right, so we have 5 questions. Let's see, did we have any others? Oh, hi, Kelly. I didn't see you sneak in there while I was writing questions down. If I missed anybody else, hello, hello. Okay. Oh, fountain pen. You know, that makes a mess when you throw that on the floor. So there's my dropsy. Already happened. So we got that out of the way. Okay. You guys ready for a card? I'm ready for a card. All right. The deck is slowly, it's 8 cards small. No, 7 cards smaller, right? We've had 7. It is a, how do you say it? Lamy or Lamy? It is a Lamy fountain pen. I really like it. I got the medium point on that, and it was, or the medium tip nib, and it was way too thick for me. Like, even this, that's extra fine. The way that I write my messy writing, you'll have to forgive that. So I needed the really extra nib. They do seem to run a little long, or large. It's like there's, you know what I mean? They're a little big for their size. Okay. Friends Claire, hello. Doing your year ahead spread on the new moon. I just downloaded an app yesterday on my phone because I keep talking about how I want to get more in touch with the moon phases. Hi, Essence 818. And one of these days I'll have to get some names so I can call you the right thing. But I just downloaded this app so that I can actually legitimately keep track of the moon, so I'm not just paying lip service to my intentions this year. All right. I'm going to take a look at our questions. Uh-oh, not a good shuffle as I shuffle these. How can my shuffling improve this week? Maybe I should ask that. Okay. Any predictions besides the Hanged Man? Okay. Nothing. Silence. Drum roll. Here we go. We have 54 people in here. I know I've not said hi to you all, So anybody I didn't say hi to, hello, hello. So we have the Moon, Death, the Four of Pentacles. Ooh. Or this, or the Three of Swords. Yeah. Well, Sherry Bug was on the right track. So, well, we had to get it out of the way eventually. And maybe we're in a healthy place today to really be able to tackle this card. Okay, I've seen the Three of Swords read in really interesting ways. And I have sorry, I'm going off the beaten path here for a minute. But I actually had a professional reading done for me at the beginning of last year. And the Three of Swords was interpreted in a way that really blew my mind. And there are a lot of opportunities in this card. So I am not scared of it the way that I used to be, despite my face when I pulled it. But that face was for you guys. So, there's a reason they're holding off on the majors for us. I don't know why, but the universe, everything, right? There's a reason. All right. No, see, Heather, you're not the only one who doesn't dislike this card. All right. So I'm going to take a sip of tea. And so I really liked it when I asked this last week, especially when I got to read the chat back. What were your immediate feelings or thoughts? So kind of not interpreting the card necessarily, but what feeling did you get when I pulled this card? If you had one, I would love to see that. And I'm going to set this to the side while you share your thoughts if you've got them to share. Clean up my little mess here. I'm trying really hard to stay organized, but I'm never really successful. Aw, Aquarius L, you felt heartache. That is a common reaction to this card, I think. Heartbreak caused by a painful truth. Let's see here. What else do we have? Anybody else? Emma laughed. Yeah, I don't know. I kind of cringed and then laughed. I don't even remember what I did. Jilly was just like, oh, yikes. It's like, whatever, just deal with it. Essence 818. Oh, Stephen felt a bit of a wake up. This card can be a wake up call, right? I can totally see that. And I don't know how much you guys kind of look at this card as sort of a personal pull for you during the week, but I certainly do, and I didn't know that I would feel that way when I started this. I just thought, okay, it's going to be some random card, but I do actually find that it kind of gets me thinking. Nancy thought of the Three of Swords in the Lightseers deck. Kiana was happy to see this card because the Swords is your favorite suit. Stephen feels opportunity. Psychically yours, hello. Heartbreak makes me think of getting the news yesterday. I'll have to have a C-section on the 27th. Oh, that's, I had to have a C-section with my child way back in the day, but I didn't know until the day of. And I was a little frustrated by that. I have to admit, I was not happy. So I'm sympathetic. Sandra does not like the Swords. Oh, good. So Heather, you can see how this resonates for you this week. All right. Well, thank you guys for sharing. I actually really appreciate that. I know it can be sometimes a bit personal, but so tell me now, what are the, oh, hi, Twist. We have a doozy of a card this week, don't we? So Simon says the mind and the heart meeting, right? With the Swords, and which represent air and the mind and the heart. Yes, absolutely. And shocked attention, what's about to strike was the first impression, right? This can be a shocking card when it pulls up, and it's so severe in its appearance, right? Okay, so if we look at the general overall interpretation that we typically have of this card, so we had our initial feelings. So if you have, what are kind of your go-to keywords and interpretations when you see the Three of Swords? I certainly think of heartbreak. I sometimes think of betrayal, even though a lot of times that's really more Five of Swords for me. Sometimes that comes up for me with this card. Let's see here. Stephen says, Swords is where my cards tend to live, so they are familiar. I'm with you on that, Stephen. I get a lot of Swords. Robin, hi, Robin. Brace yourself. I don't think I said hi earlier, but I did see you, so I'm sorry. Brace yourself for the upcoming Valentine's Day. Oh, that holiday, So Simon, the mind is trying to interpret what the heart is feeling. Oh, that is great. I don't know that I've ever looked at this way, but that I think is going to stick with me. So thank you for that, Simon. Joven, hello, you'll be lurking. That's okay. Lurking is great. It's still nice to have you here. Let's see, Sherry, I see it more as more of a warning card. Don't let your thoughts ruin something that is heartfelt in your life. Oh, that's a great way to look at this. Twist said you always thought this card belonged in the cups. Now, though, let's see, you say, I understand that most times the emotion of this card are spurred on by the mind, right? If we let our thoughts get carried away, if we get to dwelling in our mind, things can feel a whole lot worse, especially if we really give into despair. And pain that needs to be accepted, absorbed, and worked through. Yeah, right? It's almost exactly what I was saying, but with way different words. Cutting to the heart of the matter, says Rosemary. Hi, Wendy. No apologies for coming in at whatever time you come in. We're happy to have you come in and participate however you want. So, Jilly, since swords equal thoughts, a true understanding of pain or sorrow. Yes, absolutely. Love that. Pain, loss, and sorrow, says Kiana. Forever Wear, wake up. Things are not as they seem. Oh, interesting. Heather says, I see it as a reminder that our thoughts can often have a huge impact on our emotions. Absolutely, right? Our thoughts can make them better, or they can make them, oh, so much worse. And, I get challenged with this, I wouldn't say on a regular basis, but often enough to be reminded that I need to keeping that balance is really important. Julie says, this can also be about conflict in a group. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. Hi, Anu. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but nice to have you here. Bastet, as a Cups and Pentacles girl, maybe don't let your mind rule over your heart. Robin says, it's a hard heart that doesn't bleed, but the clouds do. With your very physical, or what's the word I want to say? Observational words, Jen, words. The one thing that I can always count on Robin to do is really observe literally what's going on in the card and really bring some interesting interpretations because of that. I appreciate that. Sherry says, a classic meaning for me is also cheating in a relationship or on a relationship. Wendy says, deep and painful hurt. I often get this when reading when someone has just separated or divorced. I also get this as a third person causing the split and the client confirmed it. So that kind of goes back to the cheating thing. Let's see. Hi, Sean. No worries. Simon says, don't dwell too long. Wounds heal, right? Yeah, I'm not much for dwelling. So I personally see this card as a helpful reminder for that for sure. All right. So there's kind of some initial thoughts. Now we can talk about how, oh, Heather, you can't avoid the pain. It's already happened. So what are you going to do now? Right? So let's make some decisions. How are we going to move forward? How are we going to process? How are we going to get ourselves out of the space of feeling potentially terrible? Caring instead of careworn, says Elle. I like that. Okay, so we have the various, and then this is another card. It's kind of like our ace, but even maybe more simple, where we don't have a ton that's going on in this particular version of the card. So what do each of these different elements bring? So, so Robin says, what about the element of 3? Does this hint at a throuple? Maybe it does. That's one of the things too we've gone away from is we haven't brought in a lot of the numerology aspects of the cards recently. I know we've had a few court cards and things like that, but if anyone wants to bring numerology and the 3s into this too, that would be great. You're allowed to cheat. You're allowed to be resourceful is the way that I like to phrase it, Elle. So Simon reminds us that from our previous weeks, the color gray represents neutrality. So it's about balance and the combination, again, at the heart and mind, right? So our gray sky here, right? And our very bright red heart, I think we all, we've seen some people, we interpret this as emotions, feelings. Does anybody interpret the heart as something different than either, emotions? Well, emotions and feelings are really the same thing. So does anybody interpret this as something other than that? Does anybody ever interpret it as a literal heart? Does anybody ever have this come up with issues with physicality in the heart? I'm just kind of curious. So let's see here. Jen, yes, when people ask what element do you most, oh, you're talking about identifying with elements or suits? Anu, interesting that swords are air element and water is in this card from rain, emotional pain, clouds our mind, and the Three of Swords. L, blood, inheritance, the heart. Yeah, could it also represent heart surgery? You know, that would be another way to really kind of look at this in a more literal way. Yeah, and many of the decks do show an actual heart rather than the, you know, the Valentine version of the heart. A triple bypass. I can see this card coming up for somebody with that, right? You know? Okay, so we obviously have our three swords, and that's, I think, you know, the placement of the swords. Does that mean anything to anybody? I've never really thought about that other than they're just three swords stabbing the heart. But I don't know if anybody has ever looked at that. And frankly, I have resources at my disposal here. Let's see. I'm just going to see if anything really jumps out at me. There's lots of different things about. So let's see, number 2 here. Yeah, lots of different ways you could look at the swords. And nothing really about the placement that I can see in the book. Twist says the placement feels balanced because they're evenly dispersed. They're not just like randomly. Like when we look at the 10 of swords, those swords are going every which direction and feels much more chaotic. This doesn't have that chaotic feel to me. Yeah, the 2 swords are balanced and one breaks the balance. So that's another way to look at that for everywhere. Yes. So there's that. All right. So we have our clouds, you know, and to me, the clouds, especially the, you know, they're not as dark and stormy as like when we see, what is it, our Knight of Swords or something, you know, where that you have those really angular clouds. They're still pretty dark. So that to me indicates troubled times. The wounds aren't using blood. They are healed, says Lori. Yeah, now we just need to get the swords out of there. Jen says, I agree. It does feel balanced, neat and tidy almost. All right, L, gray color symbolism, unconscious state. Oh, I love this stuff. In psychological sense of the shadow or conscious indifference, equivalence or lack of prejudice. Robin says, take action on your feelings. Jilly says it's just not a good day in Swordville. Let's see. Abundance Tarot says sometimes it is if I have a busy shift at work, I get the 3 of Swords because you work at an intervention cardiology room. Oh, now that's really interesting. I could see that. Kelly says the sword's still there could mean that although the wounds are healed, the pain will always be there in some way, even if it's faint. Yes, Kelly. Yes, I see what you're saying there. Yes. Okay, Heather, 2 crossed swords pointing down normally means the end of a battle. I wonder if the 3rd sword represents the thing that brought it to an end. So, oh, that's a really fun way to look at that. Yeah, a day trip to Swordville is good, but we don't want to hang out there too long, right? Yeah, I could easily hang out, you know, in most of the other suits for a long time. Here, I want to visit, do my work, and get on with things. Yeah, we can forgive but not forget, right? That's really kind of a lot of the meaning of that. I love this. So Jamie says, I like what the book says about it. Wounds heal when they are treated properly. Which book are you referring to, Jamie? Are you talking about this one that we've been referencing oh so often in Tarot Playdate? Or a different one? Let's see, Sherry. Or breaking of a truce that stopped the battle. Is that kind of what you're thinking too with that 3rd sword? Now, what, you know, the rain. So we don't see, I remember people talking about this, and of course I can't go through the whole deck right now, but do we don't see rain in very many cards in the tarot. So what, you know, I think we could, you know, with the, is it the water? Is that just bringing that water, an emotional torrent? Oh, yeah, maybe that's what it's bringing. I'm going to just figure this out here, folks. You just watch this. But what, you know, is there other things that the rain element brings for you? Let's see here. Oh, so Jamie, it is the same book. Okay. So Anya says, when I saw the Marielle Three of Swords, it looked like syringes for me or injections. Oh, that's interesting. Jamie agrees. You know, the wounds are healed, but the pain may still be there. Wendy sees the rain as tears. I can see that. Rain, oh, Jovan says, rain always represents cleansing to me. I really like looking. So, you know, it can either be the tears or the cleansing. But you know what? I'm not somebody who cries often, but when I do, you know, it feels very cleansing. It's like that releasing of all of those emotions so that I can get it out, move through it, and move on, right? You guys, I'm gonna just be way oversharing today, apparently. All the emotions at once, says Aquarius Al. Rain is in the background, significant other, just to make the image clearer. I'm not sure I totally followed that, but I think I understand what you're saying about the rain being in the background. Elle says the rain is the bond between air and earth. Interesting. Vasa says, I have to say I love rain. So rain is always something that nature needs to blossom again. I live in Seattle, so I must not hate it too much, right? And sometimes you're like, we just need the rain. We need the rain to clear the air, to cleanse the air so things can bloom. Yeah, that feeling after crying, sometimes it can feel really good. Spiritual cleansing, says Gracia. Hi, Gracia. Rosemary, the rain will eventually stop and move on. Wendy, could be that someone needs to release the emotions to allow healing. See how many positive things we can get from this card, right? It doesn't have to be scary. And, bringing in the numerology for us, threes equal understanding. Oh, it scrolled on me. I want to read the rest of that. Life, let's see. I cannot pronounce that name. On the tree of life associated with Saturn, difficulty in reaching understanding of emotional hurt. Okay. Psychic Leo is like, cry it out in order to start healing. Rain can be soothing. Simon says, if we approach our current pain in a positive way, we can also have an opportunity to revisit and heal from hurtful experiences in our past. Absolutely. Rain is definitely cleansing. It washes away the gunk, says Heather. Robin says, bleeding hearts, don't let yourselves get caught in the downpour. Heather, yeah, there's something very powerful about crying in the rain. You know, I remember there was one time in my life and I felt really emotional and really upset. And I don't tend to lean towards things that are dramatic or whatnot, but I just thought I need to go stand in the rain. I was feeling like I need all of that water. This was years ago, but I actually remember that. And it was very satisfying. I just felt like I was able to get out what I couldn't even cry out, you know? Artistry of Tarot, I think 3 also means growth and moving on. And then we have some talk here, you know, is forgiveness always necessary to move on? And sometimes it isn't, right? Jovan, rain is absolutely an element to be in and to just feel clear of everything. Cleanse your sorrows. Yeah, and when there isn't rain, a shower will do. Yeah, that's another good one. Another good one. All right. You guys are killing this today. This is awesome. I mean, I say that every week, but that's because I mean it every week. November Rain might be a perfect fit here. Oh, the song. You know, Heather was posting when we first started Playdate, like songs that reminded us of the card of the week. This might be a really great candidate to have that in our Tarot Playdate Facebook group. That is such a tongue twister every darn time. Stephen says 3s relate to the Empress and astrologically the 3 of Swords and Saturn in Libra, limitation, imbalance. All right. Are we ready to look at another card and start tackling our questions? I think we might be. Okay. At least I'm making an executive decision. Okay. Once again, the 5 cards that we look at are just randomly selected through a random name generator of my tarot decks. And as I bring new decks into my collection, I do add them to the list so that hopefully they can get picked up. But sometimes it adds them to be chosen, or sometimes I have to wait till I refresh the whole thing. But the first one that we have this week is from the 8 Coins Tattoo Tarot. And I do have the book handy in case we want to look at that. So we are going to go get our 3 of Swords. These are the backs in case you haven't seen these. I have not trimmed these, but I have seen people trim them and they just look really beautiful trimmed. All right, cups, 2, and ooh, okay, we have a bit more to work with here. Oh, we got to set our Ace of Cups to the side here. Okay, here is our 3 of Swords from the 8 Coins tattoo. Let me see if I can get you some good focus here. What do you think? One of the things that really jumped out to me today in this card was the fire coming out of the heart. I don't know that we see, any kind of a, where's my card? Any kind of a fire element in this one. Sometimes we see those other elements brought in. But yes, exactly, Simon. So it seems like you noticed the same thing. Right? And we have the roses, right? For the earth is how I kind of see it. The heart. We still have the clouds in the background. She definitely looks sad in this one. But we see those roses. Yeah, Wendy says, you can't see clearly because, for the tears with this one. The flaming heart with roses. The card brings home that the mind is causing the pain. Is that because of the way that the clouds are formed around here? Or is there something else that's kind of bringing that forward for you, Stephen? Yeah, Anne says, I see nothing but burning pain. And it's whatever our perspective is, right? It's, it can bring forth different emotions. Sherry says, isn't the fire coming out of the heart a sacred heart thing? I don't know, is it? Head and heart connected by the roses. The roses are being watered or fed by the tears, indicating healing and new growth, says Simon. Yeah, these blooming roses, these are not withering roses, right? These are blooming. White roses often symbolize purity and innocence. So loss of innocence, maybe, says Heather. Or could it be a regaining of innocence, just to play devil's advocate? But either one. Yeah, this is a really pretty card. Sacred Heart with the Flame, says Jamie. Abundance Tarot, it's too dark for her to see. So much sorrow, right? I mean, there's just like you can't even see her eyes. There's just so much emotion and sadness there. Is that a sacred heart behind the rose? That's what people are saying, Elle. So is the flame coming out of the heart? Is that what we call the sacred heart? You know what's funny about this is I almost barely saw the swords in this. I just now kind of realized where the swords were where the swords were placed. That's very interesting. Franz Claire says Sacred Heart with fire is Jesus. The roses are Mary's heart. Very interesting. Oh, it's classic Catholic and tattoo imagery. Thank you, Kelly. Oh, Kelly has a flaming heart tattoo. Well, then, yeah, that's good to know. Essence 818, it says, like she's masking the sorrow, but it still shows. Very dramatic and strong imagery. Yes, it is on you. Oh, Elle you have a tattoo dictionary? Why did you not tell me this when I've been bantering about tattoo ideas? Gracia says, can't see beyond the sadness, but the light is there if you look for it. Yeah, the swords seem to be secondary. They don't really grab your attention the way so many other elements of this card do. It's like she can't see past the pain, says Kiana. Yeah, I feel like a lot of us are noticing that she's so caught up in that pain she can't see through it, can't make her way through it. Lori says, hi, Lori. The darkness is like a blindfold. There is something at the top of it like a fold. Is there? Let's take a real close look again. Yeah, you're seeing like scratches in the card. Yeah. Oh, it's definitely dark. There is no glimmer of eyes in there at all. Heather noticed that this one seems to speak more to pain than the traditional RWS. 7 months, yeah. My first tattoo, probably in Glastonbury. What that would be quite a memory to make there, though. I'm not opposed to this idea, honestly. Oh, Elle asked or Essence 818 asked if you could post a link to the tattoo dictionary, Elle. I'm so sorry. It's like I can't speak. I can read just fine, but if I try to share my own words, I start stumbling like crazy. Maybe it's her hair. Yeah, it does look to me like her hair, but again, it's, sometimes things pop out, like when last week we were looking at an Ace of Cups and there was a cloud that looked like, a dove. Was it really a dove? Was it meant to be? But we see it, right? Is there a wick in the flame so the heart is a candle burning? There does seem to be a wick. Come on. Come on. You wanna. There we go. Yeah, there's a wick in there. Oh, yes. Sorry if anybody missed this. This is the 8 Coins Tattoo Tarot by Lana Zellner. So that's the front of the book. I took everything out of the boxes today, so you didn't have to see me stumble over that. Thank you, Elle, for posting that. All right, so let's, are there any other elements that anybody wants to point out in this card before we tackle our question? Burning passion, says Wendy, is another thing that comes from this. Yeah, and some people say that this card feels more sorrowful, which I definitely get. But on the same hand and on the other side, these roses bring a lot of hope. So even though it seems more dramatic than this card to me, this may not be the case for everyone, I feel like the pain seems more challenging, but the opportunity for what can grow from it also seems really noted here in this card, which I really like. Yeah, I think that's cloud. I think those are clouds. So we still keep that kind of mind air element in there. Yeah, I know there's another tattoo deck that's out there. I don't have that one. I didn't like it as well. This one I actually won. I know I'm talking about this every darn week. This one I actually won in a raffle at the Northwest Tarot Symposium last year. And I'm really glad I did. I like it. Oh, this looks a lot like the Bonfire. No, there's another tattoo one. It's actually called like the Tattoo Tarot or something. But okay. All right. I know how I want to interpret this question. So do you guys remember what the first question? I think it was Selkie's. Will the weather improve this week? Now it's funny because I actually didn't realize this is really kind of a yes or no question, which I often say is difficult to answer with the tarot. But I'm thinking no. I'm thinking no. Oh, did we have a troll? I feel like we're doing okay when we get a troll every once in a while in here. I'm not even going to look. I just don't even care. All right. Yeah. So, was that, you didn't mean? Oh, you didn't mean to do it. Not a troll. Okay. So nobody thinks that the weather is going to improve, right? So you Californians with the 75-degree weather, how do you interpret this is what I want to know. Do you think you're going to get rain? Because I have a friend, Jennifer Ball, who is not in here, who desperately needs to repair her roof, and we need it not to rain in California tomorrow. So let's hope that that is not the case. Oh, you thought that, what did I miss? I may have missed something. Yeah, it's going to rain buckets. Dark, dreary, snowy, rain coming next week. They say so in California. Let's just hope if it waits till Tuesday, because we have the whole week for this card to play out. So let's just say it'll hold off until Tuesday for our friend Jen, who needs a new roof. Okay. So, oh, all right. So UQ was misinterpreted, but is okay. Don't be afraid to pipe up again, UQ. It was an accident. Okay. All right, let's see here. Jen needs her roof repaired as well. Oh no, that's not good. That's not good. All right, they're saying they will have snow in the UK. I know in Boston it's going to be flipping cold. That's what I know. But I haven't checked the weather more than that because mostly I just figured I can't do anything about it anyway. Yeah, 3 swords hold off for 3 days. Fingers crossed, says Wendy. Yes, I love that. All right, let's go ahead and move on to our next randomly chosen card. We have our tattoo. All right, now this one should look very familiar to anybody who attends Simon's Throwback Thursday. We have the Shadowscapes. And thankfully, I can hold this up to the camera so maybe you guys can see the images. Oh, okay. Upside down card. I'm really hoping this one won't be hard for you guys to see all of the elements. Oh, okay. Trigger warning, honestly, for anybody who doesn't like to see animals in some of these swords cards. It's a pretty powerful image. Okay, let's get close, get some focus. There we go. Owie. Yeah. That's a hard one, isn't it? I know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You gave it away, Heather. Yeah, the swords are behind the swan, except for that one. maybe we just won't look at that one. There, that's better, right? Am I allowed to modify the card on the spot? I know it is really sad. So this definitely evokes a lot of feelings in us, right? Yeah, we're okay with the people with the swords, but the minute you give an animal the swords, we're all kinds of yeah. Swans mate for life. The other is not there, says Foreverwhere. That's a really interesting interpretation of that. The blood is in the heart. Yeah, so up here, we see that blood sort of dripping from that heart up there. Come on. You know you want to. This one's a little harder. Oh, there we go. There's some good focus. What is this thing up here? Is it just like decor? Like, does that mean something? Yeah, it is really beautiful though. Jamie says, I don't see this card as the swan dying. Having heartache, yes, but I don't feel death. Right? It's wounded. You know, this swan is not dead. It's wounded. It can be healed. It can recover, right? Yeah, no animals were harmed in the creation of this deck. It is truly just drawing. Jilly says separation forever. This card makes you feel that way. Interesting. Maybe that was the heart of her mate. She is heartbroken. Yeah, I didn't know that swans did that. It's like something beautiful and innocent being killed, right? So maybe what you say there, right? Could it be that this is, you know, heartbreak that sometimes maybe seems unfair? Stephen says, sorrow is the point of the card. If we are feeling it when we look at the card, then it is a successful image. Yeah. You know, those are the cards, right? When we have those intense reactions, that's when we kind of need to look and say, okay, where is that coming from, right? Is that something that I need to look at or explore? Bassett says, maybe the circle of life. Laurie asks, is the heart in the sky the other swan? Like it died and the one remaining is wounded. Yeah, somebody else noted that as well. And I do have the book here, so we can actually look and see. And I think I'd like to with this one is see what the book says about this particular image. Yeah, the innocence of the animal. So is that an innocence that's being portrayed here with what's being wounded or harmed? Anu says, someone hurt innocent soul, a naive heart. Yeah, exactly. Wounds coming from something you was very committed. Heather says, swans die very soon after their mates do. So if their mate is dead, then they will likely be dying also. Oh, that's so sad. Yeah, you guys were talking, wasn't it last week you guys were talking about, oh, because the swan came up in the Ace of Cups from the Forest of Enchantment, and you guys were talking about how that's treason in the UK because the queen technically, or the swans actually technically belong to the queen. I thought that was a really interesting fact. Okay, so let me see what this says about this, and then we will interpret this to answer our question. All right. Oh, I went right to the swords. Now let's see if I can read this. Let's see if I can read this here. So here, can you guys see this okay as I read this? Is that close enough? I think that kind of gives you a good idea. And it makes me not as shaky if I can rest my arm here. Here, the grand strength and beauty of a swan is brought down by betrayal. She mourns with blood tears for that wounding of the heart. She is far from a helpless creature. She will fight ferociously to defend herself or her young, and yet there is no sign of struggle. Perhaps she bared herself as a sacrifice. She stepped forth alone and laid down her defenses. Was it anguish and grief that brought her down? Yeah, that's true. No one can see these cards properly. Maybe that's a little better. There is grief and heartbreak in the Three of Swords. There is a feeling of loneliness, separation, and isolation. There's no one to give solace or lend a hand. Has everyone deserted in this time of greater need? The world abandons and betrays by turning its back on the destruction of beauty and the rendering and the rending of a fragile emotional state. Overcome the pain. The weeping of the heart is perhaps a necessary cleansing. We talked a lot about that in the last card, right? Let that torment drain away, be purified of the black blood, and then lift up white wings to dance with the sky once again. That is beautifully written. I need to read more of this book. Oh my gosh, I got goosebumps with that. Yeah, I would agree that the minors are easier to look at in this particular deck than the majors. So, oh, this is actually a really good question, I think, for this card. How can we keep our emotions balanced this week? I think that was Jilly's question. So, with this card in mind, in particular, how would you answer the question, how can we keep our emotions balanced this week? So we know that's the goal. What do we need to do? Any thoughts? You know, for me, I think it is like recognizing the hurt, understanding that while we're wounded, we still have the opportunity to heal and move forward, right? So just keeping that in mind and not getting lost in the despair of it. Sherry says, don't be over dramatic. Robin says, unbreak my heart, which makes me immediately start singing in my head. Bastet says, more thinking, less feeling. Any other thoughts on that? Forever Wear, keep your emotions in check. You know, it's interesting. Some of the answers that we're giving are not even that different from the Ace of Cups last week when we answered a similar question, right? We are stronger than we think, says Diane. Yes. Yes, I love that, right? No matter how down we are, we do have the opportunity to pick ourselves back up. Maybe not even in the way that we thought or that we pictured, and maybe we have to move forward with a different view of the future, but we can move forward. The question for this one, Jen, was how can we keep our emotions balanced this week? Psychically Yours says deal with heartache and not suppress it, right? Face it, address it. The swords are very confronting that way, aren't they? Abundance Tarot says sometimes you need to go through the pain to get further. Emotions are okay. Rosemary, we are experiences, good as well as bad. Absolutely. Life, we have to go through both. Nobody's fortunate enough or unfortunate enough to only have all bad or only have all good. Gracia says, try to forgive those who have hurt you. Kiana says, acknowledge the hurt and let it go so you can move forward. Anne, rise above the pain and understand the lesson it offers. Heather, maybe the point isn't to balance our emotions, but just to feel them. Sometimes emotions aren't balanced and that's okay. True. So maybe this is saying, you know, if we're asking, how do we keep our emotions in balance? Maybe we're getting the answer that that's not what we should be doing this week. Is that kind of what you mean? Am I interpreting and rephrasing that correctly? Very interesting. You're petty and proud, Al. Robin says, you might be emotional, but beware of lashing out. There are consequences. Kelly says, we can choose how we respond to a situation that hurts us. I feel like you guys are just giving me great advice right now. Thanks. Thanks for that. Selkie says, count to 10 before you speak instead of talking from an emotional point of view. That was another message our King of Swords brought us as well, didn't he? Yes, Heather says, yes, sometimes we're just meant to feel what we feel without trying to control it. All right, I'm going to go ahead. These are wonderful, you guys. Thank you so much. And I'm going to move on to our third one, our third deck for this week. I feel like I have a really great selection of cards this week. But I'm biased because these are all in my collection, right? And we have This Might Hurt. And this week I actually have 2 copies of this deck. The one on Kickstarter that I backed with the black holographic edges, but then my son for Christmas got me the version with the gold. And if you guys have not seen this, it is really beautiful. I really, really liked the gold edges on this. Okay. All right. Hold on. I need to stretch. I got a little hunchy today. Okay. Oh, do you guys just love the sound of these cards? This is just wonderful cardstock. Okay. Well, here we go again. I forgot. All right. Well, I broke you in with the Shadowscapes, Three of Swords. So you guys can handle it. I have faith in you. Here is our Three of Swords. And this might hurt. There we go. Oh, Jen, you will not regret having this deck. Oh, your collection is growing. I remember when you first started your channel, you only had a couple of decks. We're corrupting you, aren't we? Yeah, another swan. And wasn't the Marielle the original Three of Swords? Wasn't that a swan as well, or was that a dove? I don't know because I have the second edition, but yeah, this one's not doing so well. This really brings a different, right? You know, this one is still upright. Yeah. Yeah, I have to admit, if I was using this might hurt. You know, everybody asks where that name came from. Maybe it was this card. Maybe this is the reason it's called This Might Hurt, because if you pull this card in this deck, I feel like. So what do you see? Sandra doesn't like this card. I'm sorry we're evil to your wallet. Yeah, the swan is almost heart-shaped in this one. Oh, that's interesting. I see it. Like I can kind of see the heart, right? Coming down to a point, the other side. Very observant. Yeah. So one is sorrow. This one feels like absolute heartbreak. Yeah, see twist. Did you write that before I said that? Because I didn't see it. But yeah, we're on the same page with the This Might Hurt, right? The sky is a lot darker here. We definitely have a lot of rain. The swan's wings look somehow angelic, says White Tree Tarot. Anu says the rain is clearing away his pain for sure. Yeah, this one it evokes a more intense feeling for sure. Heather says, I think this one is saying this did hurt. Like, let's just call it what it is. Let's take all the fluff out of it. You know, we like to look for those positives. And when you think about it, it really is a lot like this one when you think, you know, when we think about it, right? So it's, yeah, that sucked. Like that really seriously sucked. And whatever that is now done, right? That doesn't still mean, just like with death, right? That doesn't mean there's not an opportunity for a new beginning from the doneness, but this leaves less room for saying, well, I'm injured, but I'm not down. This one. Anyway, sorry. Apparently I have lots of opinions today as well. Gracia says heartbreak and trauma. Is he falling in water? Yeah, it's hard to say. Like, is he plummeting there from the sky down to the water below? Earthy Shay, watching as you drive, please drive carefully. I won't say I haven't done the same from time to time, especially on long road trips. Just drive safe, but I'm glad you're here. Wendy's talking to Elle. Let's see. White Tree Tarot, rain is returning to the big water. Maybe this is about letting go or redemption. Interesting. I like that. Can we see the Happy Tarot candy art with the wooden swords? I do have that deck. It might get better. You know, we couldn't avoid this card forever. At least at some point in the 78 weeks, we were going to hit it. All right. Elle says swans equal grace, otherworldly, and symbol of purity, being stabbed to death, right? So, you know, maybe it is. Maybe it's a loss of grace, right? Anne says the worst is over. I mean, you know what they say, when you hit rock bottom, there's nowhere to go but up, right? Kelly says the end of innocence. Yes, I really like that interpretation, especially with the swan imagery. Oh, hey, Jen. You know, you didn't miss as much as you think because I've been very chatty today. So we still have 2 more cards to cover after this one. Gracia says betrayal. Yeah, falling from grace. Yes. Kelly to Elle, way to do the handoff and get that basket in the basket. Oh, you'll have to ignore the major scratches on my dog. My dog had a fit when I picked him up when he was barking at another dog in the neighborhood. All right, the end of one thing is the beginning of something else. All right, let's see what our question was that we want to answer with this particular version of the Three of Swords. What do we need to know to stay focused on our goals for this week? So, in the context of that question, how would this card answer it? I'll repeat it just in case anybody was taking notes. What do we need to know to stay focused on our goals for the week? Or to stay focused on our goals this week, not necessarily this week's goals, but just stay focused. Is my dog all right? Yeah, I just had to pick him up. He was just being a big baby because he wanted to bark and growl at that other dog. And he's a Chihuahua. So I just picked him up and he was flailing. He was having a bit of a temper tantrum. Temper tantrum? Temper tantrum. That's what I meant. And Sherry says, it's going to kill you to stay focused. Like, oh no. Oh no. Twist says it's going to hurt and may require sacrifice, right? In order to accomplish our goals, sometimes we do have to sacrifice and we have to let go of things that we want or things that we thought we wanted, right? I love that. Ooh, what did Steven say? Ooh, I missed it. Oh, it's talking of the sacrifice. So in this card, in the last one, there's a feeling of sacrifice. Healing happens when we open ourselves to the loss and allow ourselves to be transformed by it. Yes, yes, absolutely. Kelly says, stay focused and nail that to-do list. Just get it. Just go after it. Like some poor soul went after this poor swan. Kelly says, is the pain or sacrifice worth it, right? Maybe that's one of the things we need to do too, is evaluate. Are we sacrificing too much? That's a yes. Robin says, despite the pain, keep your eye on the challenge, problem, or solution. Anu says, bad news, accomplishing goals are impossible at this time. I suppose I really tend towards positivity, so I'm always looking for not a absolute that way, but sometimes you might have to face that that's the truth. Jen says you have to experience discomfort before you can reap the benefits of your reward. Did I say hi to you, the other Jen Science Soul? Did I say hi to you as you came in? Thank you for being here. Oh, yes, I did, because I said, never mind. White tree. Excuse me, sir, if that was loud. Having a Swan Lake moment here. Maybe this time you need to be a black swan because the white swan didn't make it. Maybe we were being too naive or too innocent, not seeing. Elsa, shit happens, bury it and move on. Kelly, are we overloading ourselves mentally with our goals to the detriment of our emotional life and well-being, right? And so if you think about it too, right, the goals are often very mind-based, right? And so with the swords and the thinking in the head, practically trying to achieve these goals. And yeah, are we sacrificing other areas of our well-being? I love that, Kelly. Heather says, are your goals still the right thing to be focused on? Even if it hurts, should we really be letting them go? Essence 818, everything isn't always positive, but that doesn't mean it won't lead to positivity. Absolutely. Yes. Stephen, sometimes healing sorrow happens when we realize we have sacrificed enough of ourselves to the pain. At that point, we can release. Yeah, wonderful, varied answers and ways we can interpret this. Great. Really great. Okay. I have two more decks. So this one should be really interesting. I have not worked with this deck yet. This is the Wise Dog Tarot from MJ Coulinane, who did the Crow Tarot. These are the backs. Let's see what our doggies tell us. So there's probably a dog in this card. Let's just acknowledge that right now. All right. Oh, yes. This card yesterday, I was reordering my deck because I had shuffled it, and I could not figure out what card it was until I had put all the other cards in order. All right. This is the Three of Swords from the Wise Dog Tarot. So the swords are actually the clock hands here, and that took me a minute to figure that out. Yeah, I struggled with this one too a little bit, Heather, I have to admit. So what do you guys think when you see this card? What does it bring something new? Anything about the imagery in particular stand out to you? Gosh, yeah. Puppy. He looks happy. He does. Yeah, one of the things that I find really interesting here is this connection between the dog and the human and their hearts. Yeah, I have opinions on this deck, but I won't share those here today. Yeah, the woman is connected to the dog. That's the first thing that I noticed. Twist says it feels like the dog is dead and the heart of the owner is connecting to it. Like the clock is saying it's ending time. Oh, so she's like releasing the dog. Okay, that's really interesting. You might be onto something there. I do have the little book. I don't know if it'll be helpful, but I'm probably going to look at that one too. Yeah, the dog seems happy. Like he had a good life. I don't know. Like, I don't know if he's passed away. What? Gracia says, hug your puppies and all the pain goes away. Oh, that works for me a lot. My puppies are the best when they're not scratching the holy heck out of me. Yeah, the connection between the animals, the heart connected to heart, and awareness that time is different for dogs and humans. Oh, yes. Yes, that's true too. Yeah, White Tree Tarot. It seems like you and Stephen are kind of on the same thought train there. There's a connection now, but the clock is ticking. It will not be there forever. Oh, I'm really behind now, but I'm really fascinated by all your different answers to this one. I know, Kelly, there are a lot. Actually, there is a dog deck that was a lot cuter. I bought it for my son, and it's got a green box. It's like a Llewellyn style, I think. And it's called, what the heck is it called? And it actually, I looked through it. It was actually pretty cute. It would be worth taking another look at, I think, if you really want a dog deck. If you haven't seen it already and ruled it out. Let's see. This dog looks happy. He lives from his emotional pain. Kiana says this card doesn't resonate. We always have one that doesn't resonate quite as well, I think. Jen says, I think the dog died and she's grieving its loss. Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense looking at this card. Oh, gosh. Artistry of Tarot. Yeah, I will say this was an Indiegogo campaign for this deck, and the communication was not great. It was a little bit concerning. And I also think at the end, I feel like it was a bit rushed. I think a lot of the artwork is great, but I think she kind of lost heart. She is working on a cat tarot. What's it called? The Grimalkin tarot or something. And I feel like her heart was really already leaning towards that as she was finishing up this deck. And I don't know that for a fact. It's just kind of the impression that I got. All right. Heather just wants a deck full of Logans, little Yorkshire Terriers. Well, Logan is cute, but I mean, we have to have a Dr. Nami in there, and we have to have a Vaughn and Eddie in there, and all your other puppies, which is one of the reasons I do love this deck. All right, we live for 80 years. Our animal companions will only live a fraction of that time. I remember that my time with my Benjamin was finite. I had 16 years with him, but the loss was inevitable. So eventually we are going to have to deal with that loss. And that is a bit of a heartbreak. So that actually makes a lot of sense. Let's see if that was kind of the intent with what she did. There isn't a lot to this guidebook. Oops, sorry. Sometimes I think my arms are longer than they really are because I'm a short person. Let's just be honest. I think when I stood next to Simon, I felt like I was like half a foot tall. Okay. The Three of Swords. Although painful, the cord between you and something or someone you love has unraveled. No longer braided and strong, it has become frayed and splintered. It is time that betrays us, as we never seem to have enough of it. Share with those we love, and alternately too much of it with those who we need to separate from. So magical dogs. Yes, I wanted to say there was the word magic in it, but that wasn't right. Yes, I actually thought that was really a cute deck. So take a look. Have you seen that one, Kelly? Have you seen the magical dogs? It's actually kind of cute. I thought about getting it, but I was like, okay, I'm getting a gift from my son. You don't need to buy anything for yourself right now. All right. Oh, we have a question for this. I got so caught up in the difference in this card. So I think you guys were really in tune with what the artist was trying to do here. What can we do to pump up our intuition this week? So now that you've kind of looked at this card, gathered some information about this card, how does this answer the question, what can we do to pump up our intuition this week? Oh yeah, good point, Kelly. Are you allowed to look at it now? Might have to check it out. Yeah, there are a lot of cute cat tarots out there. So if we're talking about understanding that we have finite time and how does that impact our intuition? So maybe it's having a little more trust in ourselves, not taking so much time to analyze and overanalyze. So if we allow ourselves to trust those snap judgments and gather and trust the information we're receiving in that quick burst of time. I'm just babbling, but what do you think? Does anybody have another answer for this one? Jen says, be more like doggos. They're not limited by silly human constraints. That's another thing too, right? Dogs are instantly trusting, right? So I keep saying this trust word, and this is what was getting to me. But, you know, for the most part, dogs are pretty trusting, I would say. I mean, there are exceptions, as there are to everything. But, you know, just having that trust in our intuition. Be like a dog. I don't know if I'm helping. So White Tree Tarot says, maybe not the meaning of this card, but this representation can be the answer. Be open-minded, think differently, and create differently. Jen says, let ego and expectation die. That's a good way to look at that. So hard to do, isn't it, though? Like, those two things. Oh. Forever wear. Have fun like a dog that goes through life happy for the most part. Just enjoy it. He really does look happy, doesn't he? All right. I think we're struggling a little on that one, but we have one more deck to look at. Okay. We have this one. I'm going to take a quick sip of tea because I'm starting to get a little sniffly. Take time for what's really important, says Psychically Yours. Smile a lot and love your people, says Diane. No, that was Sherry. And then Diane says, dogs are very intuitive and make it simple. Don't complicate it. Yes. Friends Claire, take time to disconnect from mundane and allow intuition more space. Yes, absolutely. Oh, Elle just put up a link to the Magical Dog Tarot. And Kelly put up a link to the Considerate Cat Tarot. So well, off people go into how we can enable you land. All right, so my last deck for today is the Steampunk Tarot. So this is the Steampunk Tarot that has the guidebook written by Barbara Moore, illustrated by Ali Fell. So this one, if you've seen the book for that. Okay, so let's find our Three of Swords in here. So this one is much different. No swans. So there's that. All right, here is our Steampunk Three of Swords. We'll try and keep most of the glare off there for you. Oh, you see a lot of camera stuff, but oh, there we go. There's some good focus for you. Oh, I'm sorry if I'm bringing up memories of lost beloved fur babies. Okay, now we've got clockworks again. I guess that's true, isn't it? Right? There's a clock in this one. So it does look like there's, you know, obviously this is steampunk, so we have a bit more of a mechanical nature in general, often in this deck. But White Tree Tarot says, I like the idea behind this card to get the swords out and the heart will be ready to go again, right? So this is like the way that I read this card. It's like these swords are jamming up the works, right? So they're in there causing trouble, but we can get those swords out of there and get things moving again. Exactly. Robin says there's a trend between decks going on multiple swans, multiple clocks. Steampunk Tarot is all about the workings of the great machine. A wrench in the works for this one. Yep. Or sword, or 3 swords in the works for sure. Anybody want to note anything in particular? I mean, I don't think there are a ton of elements. There's one thing I'll note here that is kind of hard to see because the deck is so dark. But there are these dark, stormy clouds here behind this fence that this heart is leaning up against with the 3 swords. So, yeah, is it a shield or a heart? Or both, Elle? Yes. Robin, how is a dying swan like a clock? Limited time. Time? Yeah, it's a heart-shaped shield with some inner workings going on. It's meant to be a mechanical heart. And this is another one we can look at the book at too. Let's actually see. While you're looking at this, while you're chatting about it, and you gotta love Barbara Moore guidebooks for sure. I love this. There's a quote right at the top, and it says, "The misuse of tools can lead to a," wait, what's that word? A mickle mess? Core meaning sorrow caused by knowledge. That's kind of a different, interesting way to look at it, right? So the sorrow is caused because of something that we've learned or come to understand. Kelly, are we going through the emotions mechanically rather than really feeling, being too cerebral? Yes, like what I just said. Yes, exactly. Okay. Words can build bridges, create connections, and nurture relationships. Through careful communication, we can establish elaborate edifices of understanding that are stunningly beautiful and utterly awesome. All of these activities take time and skill. In the smallest of moments, a few words can destroy what took years to create. Whether the words are cruel or merely careless, whether a painful truth or a manipulative deceit, the injury is very real. In the shadows of a dark and stormy night, what was once a perfectly balanced, functional, and lovely clockwork heart lies in shambles. Straight, unyielding swords have been jammed ruthlessly through the delicate curves of fine craftsmanship, creating a poignant picture of tragic destruction. The suit of swords is nothing if not dramatic, and the 3 of swords is no exception. The lofty and theatrical tendencies of our minds are here joined with the melodramatic and unpredictable characteristics of our hearts. Because the swords are wielded by another person's hand, the sense of betrayal and shock creates a raw, gaping wound. Oh, gorgeous. Love that book too. Love the book. Okay. So, what are you guys chatting about? Simon says a mechanical heart makes me feel it's devoid of emotions, which might actually be the point and the problem, Simon. Let's see here. Heather said that's similar to what Kelly Bear said about the loss of ignorance. The swords don't seem to come from a foe, right? They don't seem like they were attacked. It's almost, have we jammed the works up in frustration, right? Did we get mad at our clockwork here and then jam the swords in ourselves? Elle says being stuck in the logical brain and therefore, oops, I lost Elle's comment. Shoot. Being unable to react through emotional brain. Simon says a measure of one's heart is not in its capacity to love, but by how much it is loved by others, from The Wizard of Oz. Oh, such a good quote, isn't it? Essence 818. Tarot is so much deeper than every layer I keep weaving myself through. This is why I love it. Like a lifelong journey. I know I say that a lot, but it's true. So the swords are impeding the works. Let's see. Okay. Forever Where said, without the theming that comes from the book, it would seem that it's devoid of emotions. But mechanical things are given more life in this deck. Yes, that's true. If you had the money, steampunk would be your life. All right. So our 5th and final question for today. What's the best way to manage our energy levels this week? So with this card, how would you answer that question? And if just as a random thing, while people are looking at this and responding to this, if you come into the room, we have about 67 people in here right now. If you haven't said hi, or if I haven't said hi, welcome. So glad you're here. This is a lot of fun. Sorry, my nose suddenly got very itchy. Like while I was reading that, it got very itchy. there's a lot to do when you're trying to read and write and participate and type. And so Wendy said earlier that the cogs inside the heart remind her of clock's time needing to heal. All right, Kelly, answering the question, make sure you don't work yourself to the breaking point. Wind down. Right? To me, remember earlier I was saying, maybe we shoved the swords in this thing ourselves out of frustration. So don't get frustrated. Like if you're not able to get things done the way that you thought, don't sabotage yourself, right? Don't get frustrated. Don't jam up the works. Just take a step back. We'll figure out why it's not working the way it's supposed to. Thank you, Sherry. Appreciate the little thumbs up encouragement there. Yeah, Aquarius L, don't let things jam up the works. Right? And if you need to slow down, right? If you need to take that time, if in order to maintain the energy, we need to back off from some things, do that before you reach the point where you're forced to stop, right? Because if we go beyond our limits, sometimes then things get tangled up, things get jammed up, and then we're not able to move forward at all. Yes, Heather. I'm looking at the guy, I looked at, I'm like, yes. But she said it with much less words. Take a break before something external forces you to take a break. See, what did Kelly care? Oh, Kelly said, just keep quietly ticking over. Don't push too hard. Exactly. The swords almost look like they are propping up the heart. Thank you, Wendy. Thank you for being here. I'm glad you're enjoying it very much. Appreciate that. All right. Yes, exactly. I think we had kind of all sort of had that same sort of interpretation for this particular card. All right. Oh my gosh, you guys, we're going really long today. All right. Do we want to talk about the Three of Swords reverse? So we'll go back to our Rider-Waite-Smith, our home base here. So what do you think when the Three of Swords are reversed? I actually just had a thought on this, and maybe you guys will share this with me. But with the positioning of this, and when I look at it, it almost looks like you're unable to release those emotions, which is actually going to make it harder for you to heal and move on. So here it's almost like you're holding on to that hurt, not able to let it go. All right, bye, Jamie. Thank you for being here. Yep, Gracia, repressing emotions. Yeah, and we had a couple of other thoughts on the steampunk too. Those are good ones, you guys. The heart is sliding further down the swords. It's just wounding you deeper. Yes, Elle, absolutely. Robin says the heart on a skewer, support being cleansed by the rain. Emma says shake those swords out. Yeah, maybe if we turn them upside down, they will just fall out. Right? That's a good point. So one, we can say, okay, the heart is embedding itself further on the swords, and then we have other people who are looking at this as an opportunity for the swords to fall out. So then the Bastet says, release the swords, let go of the things that hurt you. Maharet says it looks more stuck in reverse. That was my impression as well. Sherry Bug, the three swords look like a tripod holding the heart. The heart is truly stuck on the issue. Yes, I see a lot of that. Anything else? Anybody have different thoughts on that? I don't want to keep you too much longer for a couple reasons. One, really not going to extend past an hour and a half. And two, I have to get packing for my work trip. Yeah, I think those are some great thoughts. Feel free to keep pulling them out. Oh, Kelly's got another one. Inability to process and deal with emotional pain. Yes. Absolutely. Yeah. I always say I don't read with reversals, and but I will read cards in the blocked or challenged position, or in a challenge position. And maybe sometimes I should turn the cards upside down when they are in that, which means then I read with reversals. What am I saying right now? But yeah, it does sometimes kind of give you a different perspective just by flipping that card around. I do that with the Hanged Man on purpose, but almost with nothing else. So Elle says, the way these two swords are crossed, would they be stuck in position? Thinking back from my days of playing Kerplunk. Oh yeah, we were talking about that last week, weren't we? Gracia, holding the grief and an unwillingness to let it go. Yes. Selkie, in denial of the pain. Bastet, sometimes it takes more effort to let go, but it's worth it. Yeah, good stuff. All right, so shall we see what our tarot playbook activity is this week? For those of you who have the book and have sometimes given it a try, this is the Tarot Playbook by Linda Cowles, and we use the card of the week to drive a random activity for that week that helps you connect not necessarily with that card, but with your deck that you're working with that week in general. And then I will also have an alternate activity for those who might want to actually either don't like the activity or don't have the book. So this one is called, and I don't get it already, King for a Day. Oh, look at the image in that book, though. That does evoke the Three of Swords a bit for me there, I have to say. So this one here, it says, well, I'll just read the intro here. Making decisions is hard. First, you have to weigh up the pros and cons. Then you have to consider the internal and external factors. Then you have to think about the consequences. And that's just to work out what coffee you want, right? Wouldn't it be easier if someone made all your decisions for you? So this here has you shuffling the court cards and then summoning your best advisor. And then that card that you choose is going to be your advisor throughout the day. That's kind of an interesting activity. So that's that one. And that is on page 114, and it's called King for a Day, but it is associated with the Three of Swords here. So that is that activity. So even if you don't have the book, I kind of gave you enough of the lay of the land. I'm hoping I won't get busted for reading the intro paragraph. I think a lot of people actually bought this book for Tarot Playdate, so I'm not going to feel too bad about that. And now I will look up our alternative activity. So these are activities for those of you who maybe weren't here in the beginning, that because we knew not everybody would have the Tarot Playbook, we wanted to give everyone an opportunity to take something away with them and be thinking about our card of the week for the week. So I, along with my friends Elle and Jilly Little Zen Crone, came up with 78 activities. The day before Tarot Playdate started, it's had its very first episode, and I cannot thank them enough. So really appreciate that. Haven't shouted them out for that in a while. All right. Oh, this is a great title for this. Well, I say that. I made up the title. Oh, that sounded something. Anyway, this one, I just think I like it because of the picture on the card. But this one's called Don't Let the Rain Get You Down. And just so you know, I'm going to read a bit here. If you don't catch it all, write it down. I will put it in the description box of this video as soon as it's uploaded, right after we get done chatting. And I will also put it and post it in the Facebook group. If you have not yet joined the Tarot Playdate Facebook group and you would like to, I am sure Elle will put a link for me because I appreciate you, Elle. And if you want to join, please do make sure that you answer all 3 of the security questions. And they're really just to make sure that people who are entering know what they're getting themselves into, really. And then there's also, and I agree to the rules thing that you have to say yes to or check it or something. Just make sure you do that. We've had a few people that have answered the questions but not agreed to the rules, and it's kind of putting us in a sticky situation, and we just want to be able to be consistent. Answer the 3 questions, click the box, and we will be so happy to have you in the group. Okay, all the housekeeping aside, I will read the alternative activity for you. I have no idea if this is showing in the camera frame. Okay, don't let the rain get you down. Is there something getting you down that you'd like to move past? If possible, grab your deck, keep it well protected, and go for a walk in the rain if you have rain in your area. You can use an umbrella if you want. As you walk, think about what's been getting you down lately. When you return from your walk, use your deck to answer the following questions. 1, why am I feeling down about this? 2, what can I do until the clouds part and the rain stops to endure? 3, what should I do once it stops raining? This is basically a past, present, future spread with a little bit of a twist. If you can't go out in the rain, listen to audio rain sounds and visualize walking in the rain. So what do you guys think? Anybody up for that activity this week? Anybody thinking the Tarot Playbook activity sounds fun? I'd love to know what you guys are thinking of these activities, even if you're not sharing them with us. I'd love to know if you enjoy having them presented here or if you have other thoughts. Yeah, Kelly says she listens to rain sounds every night to help her sleep. I do the same. I either listen to rain or the ocean. I love the sound of the ocean. And yeah, All right. So thank you once again, all of you, for being here, for participating in such an amazing way. Even if you were just watching and here and absorbing it, it is really, it's one of the best parts of my week. Every week, I had a wonderful time. I hope you all are able to look at the Three of Swords with a lot of balance and can see the positives that can come from that card as well as the scary parts. We got to deal with our stuff. One way or another, we have to deal with our stuff. All right, you guys, until I see you next week in our live play date, or you might see me pop up in your feed during the week, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, night, morning, whenever you're watching this. And I am, as always, sending you lots and lots of love. Bye, and thank you so much.